Hello, everyone, and Dario, thank you very much for the introduction. My name is James Williams. If you haven't seen me before, I am the Director of Programs with MEF, and it's a real pleasure to be here talking about trust in enterprise messaging, something that's been at the very heart of everything I've been doing personally in the past, I would say 7 or 8 years with my activities before MEF with mobile network operators and enterprises. I'm going to be joined today by 6 panelists from across the ecosystem to give a real global perspective on the world of trust in enterprise messaging, in business messaging. So first up, joining us, I'd like to welcome Matija Razem from Infobip. Matija, welcome to the show. Hey, Matija, hi.
Hi. Hope you hear me. Nice to see you again.
We hear you absolutely fine. Yeah. You're doing much better than me yesterday, who had problems with the mute button, but I know where it is now. Next up, I'd like to invite Charles Upchurch, the CEO of Global Message Services.
Hi, James. Thanks very much for inviting me.
No, Charles, great. Glad you could join us from Switzerland. And next up, Vladimir Smal, who is Head of Global Messaging with Business Messaging with LANCK Telecom. Okay, we've got, Vladimir, hi. You're here. We can hear you.
Unfortunately, I cannot hear you.
Okay. Well, let me just bring someone else into the show while our production team help Vladimir out. I'd like to invite Pat Flynn from Nettzer.
Hi, guys.
Pat, great you could join us. Mike Round from Mobile Ecosystem Forum.
Hi there, everyone.
Hello, Mike. Hi.
Hi.
And David Lotfi, the founder and CEO of Evina.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, David. Great that you could join us. So thank you all very, very much for joining. Vlad, thank you very much indeed for stepping in at short notice because Alex wasn't able to make it. So great that you could join us. And yes, first off, we're talking about trust in enterprise messaging, trust in business messaging. And MEF has been at the very heart of this for a number of years, with also an initiative looking here in the UK at the SMS sender IDs. And we have with us Mike Round, who is the Independent Secretariat, essentially the project director for this UK SMS sender ID project. Mike, could you just give us a little bit of background as to why the project came about, what the main issue is you're trying to solve with the mobile operators, the merchants and other parties you're bringing into play?
Yeah, certainly. Well, I guess the project was kicked off probably back in 2018, where obviously in the UK we had a massive problem with smishing. Text smishing, and basically a group of industry people got together, which comprised of obviously MEF, the UK Finance, who represented the banks and merchants, the aggregator community, National Cybersecurity Centre, and basically everyone who's got a stake in the in the chain there, really, to discuss what we could do to try and find a solution to significantly reduce the problem. And the upshot of that was really that MEF ended up running kicking off a trial to protect sender IDs that were used by merchants to protect these sender IDs through a set of rules via a registry. And we've been running that now for nearly 3 years to great effect, I think, really. We started off with 10 initial trialists, which were a couple of government agencies and 8 of the major banking groups. It's now grown to 5 government agencies and a number of banks, merchants, retailers, insurance companies, and we've seen some significant success in doing that.
I think that the key takeaway for me from that, Mike, is that everyone from across the ecosystem has got together: governments, mobile operators, merchants, business messaging companies. So it's a collaborative effort. As you've heard, I was on the previous panel with members from other trade associations, GSMA, the I3 Forum, and RAG. And that is something we absolutely concluded everyone has got to work together. But first of all, you've got to admit there is a problem. Now, when we talk about trust in enterprise messaging, it's very easy to think we're just talking about the impact on subscribers, us, consumers, because all of us here are consumers. But Pat, I'd like to bring you into the conversation with you and your company, because you're a little bit different, because your focus is on the other side of things, really protecting the enterprises. So if you could just tell us a little bit about what your business does and how you go about doing that.
Sure. Well, first of all, I just want to say, James, this event has been really well organized by the MEF team. Very slick. I haven't seen anything as slick as before. So really well done to you guys. Okay. So what we do is we signed up to the code of conduct, and what we ensure is for mobile operators and for aggregators is that the customers who sign up with them can be legally identified. So in other words, it's a digital sales channel. You might have thousands of customers. You don't really want to handle each of them individually. You want them to come online. So we enable that customer self-identifies as an individual or as a registered business. And that gives the mobile operator and the aggregator confidence that they're dealing with a legitimate business.
That's clear. So we've got to look at trust coming from both directions, and we meet somewhere in the middle. So it's not just about protecting the consumer, but obviously enterprises, businesses, they need to be confident. Essentially, when it comes down to know your customer, KYC, they need to be sure that we say we are when being onboarded. So thank you for that, Pat. Matija, I'd like to bring you in on the conversation now. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you to all the companies here, because there are 5 of you on here who have signed up to the Business SMS Code of Conduct. That means you are making every reasonable, best possible effort to ensure that the channels for business SMS are clean and clear. But Matija, in a business your size, how do you go about making sure, because you're aggregating traffic from not only enterprises, but other aggregators as well from around the world, how do you go about making sure that traffic is as clean as possible?
I mean, we are talking here about trust in messaging, but first of all, we definitely need to trust our partners that we work with. I mean, Infobip is a company that is in this business from 2006, if I'm not mistaken. And during these years, I think we have struck a lot of, good partnership agreements with different, not just enterprise clients, but also aggregator clients. And this trust must be there for sure. Second level to that is obviously some kind of automatical and manual checking of the content of the messages, and to see if there is some spam, phishing, or any kind of other problems that through these messages might arise. But if someone is trying to trick you, they will find a way. They will maybe not send 1 million messages, but a couple of messages or a couple of dozen of messages will definitely pass through. There is not a single automatical system that can protect you from that. So I think the most important part is first to choose your partners carefully, and to basically work in a proper manner, to satisfy our clients, so that our enterprise clients are happy with the service. You are probably aware that on the enterprise side, there is not that much problems. I mean, if we are talking about big enterprises, small enterprises can have some, issues, and maybe can try to go into some different ways of delivering messages, which are maybe not completely legitimate. But I don't think, Infobip is not the company that works with this kind of clients. So if you start working with a proper type of clients, I think you will not have any issues.
Let's bring Charles into the conversation, CEO of Global Message Services. Charles, congratulations, because I understand your business is just about to celebrate its 15th birthday. So you've been around a long time in this messaging business as well, originally starting off in the Ukraine, and you were formerly GMSU, dropped the U, now GMS. Now, your business itself has expanded, but how do you go about growing a business such as yourself, a business messaging business, and ensuring that trust stays in play at all levels? Because I'm not just talking about that in terms of systems and monitoring traffic. I'm talking about getting that culture across to all your employees in an ever-expanding company. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, culture is absolutely important to build trust. So we start with our values, and one of our core values is integrity, and we have to live to that every day. It is important, of course, to have the right infrastructure in place with the firewalls, and we use best of breed infrastructure. You have to have quality connections. We have to have a complete commitment to cybersecurity. This is a very dangerous world we live in, and we have to be fully committed to that. We talk about robust processes and being certified to ISO 9001 and 27001. We maintain an international services database with over 2,000 services, so we know exactly what every message from every enterprise is supposed to look like, so that we can detect fraud. And then we really have to ingrain all of this into our corporate culture, and that means that our team are committed to integrity and to quality.
Charles, thank you very much. Now let's bring Vladimir in. Vladimir, welcome, and thank you for joining us. And LANCK Telecom, like GMS and Infobip, has been around for many, many years in business. How do you see the world of trust in enterprise messaging? Because personally, I remember you a few months ago, I just joined MEF and you were signing up to the Business SMS Code of Conduct. And I saw how seriously you took it. You worked through every single line in the agreement there and took it absolutely super serious, which is absolutely fabulous and what should be done. But for you as a business, how difficult is it actually to ensure trust remains with your suppliers, with your partners at every level?
Well, hello, James. And of course, it is very important for us to keep the trust within the ecosystem where we are. LANCK Telecom has been fighting against fraud for many years. We've been at the forefront primarily with our voice services. So we have quite good experience here, and we know how to tackle those issues. And what we are currently doing and working a lot is to ensure that our SMS partners are also safe when using our services, and that they trust us. Because of course, in current telecom business, without the trust, nothing can be done properly. And yes, of course, we would like to be beneficial to the industry in terms of fighting against fraud, and we want to educate our customers about the kind of service that they should use in order to secure their customers and make them satisfied. And from the other point of view, we're trying to talk to mobile operators in order to get the right pricing policy, because we see an issue when mobile operators are increasing pricing, enterprises are starting to look into some alternative type of routes like gray routes, which is definitely not something we are interested in. And we see our mission in educating and explaining to our customers the value of trust and the value of legitimate service.
I think education is absolutely key. It's come across all the sessions in day one. It will come across, no doubt, all the sessions in the rest of today, which is very much of a fraud feel. So, Vladimir, thank you for that. Now, introducing David from Evina. Hi, David.
Hi, James. How are you doing?
Hello. Good to have you with us here today. Now, I know very much your business is at the forefront of anti-fraud, mainly on the payment side of things. Of course, you work with premium messaging as well. You know the SMS world superbly. On my previous session, it was mentioned by someone that actually when it comes to the reputation of, for example, business messaging companies, that we seem as an industry, it doesn't matter whether someone has a good reputation or a bad reputation, we kind of seem to treat people the same. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely not. What's important in terms of, so Evina is a cybersecurity company. Everything we do, so we are the solution for protecting mobile payment, and we are specialist of carrier billing and mobile money. And something important is that the SMS channel is very important to end user and for customers. They have a special relationship with with SMS. It's more personal, and therefore it's very important for the different stakeholders to preserve this channel. As the SMS has a special relationship with the customer, as it's more personal, it is therefore a tool that is used by the fraudsters very aggressively. And when a mobile messaging processor do not respect the rules, and I think the job that has been done with the code of conduct is very, very important, because it provides great guidelines for complaints management, for incident management, and for managing the fact that the customer can opt out and so on. If someone do not respect those rules, it's really jeopardizing the business. And carrier can cut some mobile messaging platforms. You can be out of the business if you are a merchant working with the bad payment gateway, the bad SMS gateway. You can be cut out of the business, and your activity can really be decreased a lot.
Yeah. But personally, I totally agree with you. That would be my personal opinion as well. Bring Mike back into the discussion. Hey, Mike. Hi.
Hi.
So we as subscribers, so we have our phones roaming around. We see fraud happening, and what can we do to help the SMS channel clean itself up? What tools are there available for us? Let's just talk about what's available here in the UK for starters.
Sure. Well, I think obviously we're talking about trust in messaging, and it is really, really important that we do make sure that the industry is cleaned up, because I think consumers will rapidly lose trust if they don't see industry looking after itself. And I think, just going back to the original question, really, it's good that when the registry was set up, that it was done as a cross industry initiative rather than a top-down regulated piece. So I think that's very positive, and it sends a good message to the industry that here's us trying to clean things up. But in terms of what's been done, that's transparency in actually cleaning things up is absolutely paramount. And it's quite interesting. I mean, I spoke to last week. I suppose we'd call them a major utility in the UK, who is front page news around the UK for some of the level of attacks that they're having at the moment. And when I finally managed to locate the head of cybersecurity, their reaction was very much, well, what problem? We don't know that we've got a problem, really, or we don't think we're any worse than anyone else. And when you sort of, tell them that, well, actually, you represent 11% of the total consumer complaints in the UK at the moment, it's a bit of an eye opener for them. So I think actually making people aware that there is a problem is actually some of the issue there, really. With the registry, we are working quite closely as well with the guys that provide the 7726 service in the UK, where customers can forward fraudulent messages for investigation. So we're taking a feed of that and sharing that with our merchants, and that's proving really, really useful. Unfortunately, I think as a UK industry, although 7726 has been around for a number of years, initially set up by the operators, it's probably the best kept secret in mobile, that most consumers don't know about it. So when we do get information, and it is very, very useful information, it highlights URLs that need to be fraudulent URLs that need to be taken down, and sender IDs that should be looked at. It's for every one of the complaints that we see forwarded there's probably about another 50 that go unreported. So the scale of things is still quite dramatic. But I think there's a couple of tools there. Certainly the registry is one of them. 7726 is another one, and combining those actually gives it a lot more teeth. So I think we got a couple of options there, but we still need to, we still need to keep evolving the solution, because the fraud types and methodology changes on a daily or weekly basis. And we've made good progress in trying to significantly reduce impersonation and direct spoofing. But the upshot of that is it's forced a lot of the fraud onto long number and that kind of thing. So, there's still work to do.
There is absolutely still work to do, and I think it's quite mind-blowing that company you were talking about, the fact that they weren't aware this was happening. So in my previous session, I was talking about the fact that there are organizations that don't want to admit it's happening to their client bases, and you've got a whole new set who aren't aware it is happening at all. So yeah, there's definitely problems to solve. Now, Pat, bringing you back in here, you've got a long history with SMS, having worked across the industry with SMSCs themselves, and also having had personally as well been involved in the SMS firewall game and security game. There are still, for me, there's still so many operators out there that have not woken up to the dangers of not having an SMS firewall, not having, for example, a separate signaling firewall. How are you going about trying to educate mobile operators out there about the potential risks of not looking after themselves? How do you go about doing that? Because this problem has been there for years, and I would have hoped by now every operator has a signaling firewall and SMS firewall. It's not the case, though.
Yeah, that's a good point, James. I'm not sure what it is. I'd say maybe 40% of firewalls. I don't know. I'm not sure what that is in terms of traffic. Actually, a slight diversion, but I actually sold GMSU, their first system, back in the noughties. So
thank you, Pat.
Yeah, and you did a lot of business with that. So congratulations to you guys. But yeah, no, I've worked with a number of firewall companies, and they're very sophisticated now. The amount of focus on the content, and as Mike was talking about, information exchange, as to identifying the spammers as quickly as possible. I mean, ultimately, if the operators don't do anything about it, the regulators are going to do something, and this is why I think the code of conduct from MEF is really important, because it actually brings an industry response that preempts any regulator intervention in particular countries. A part of that, regulators are also requiring people to legally identify themselves as customers. So that's where we'd come in. But yeah, James, if they haven't done it by now, I don't know why they aren't doing it. But they're going to hurt by being forced to do this. And it's not going to help their business or their image.
Yeah, definitely right. Matija, I'd like to bring you in on this now. So Pat was just mentioning the R word, the regulator. And if we look at what's been going on with India, their use of blockchain to help try and eliminate spam, et cetera, there, that was very much a case of the regulator being involved there. From your experience, your long-term experience, because I know you built up the business for Infobip in China, in India and other territories. Personally, you were involved with doing that. What's your experience been with the regulator coming in and doing something with helping build trust in SMS or business SMS? Is it positive, or from your personal perspective, is it better to actually sort it yourself without the regulators there?
Well, this is a very good question. I mean, we can start with India, which I guess, eventually we can call it a positive example. Like 7-8 years ago, India was a very, very spammy country. So first of all, the price per message was extremely low. It still is quite low, but at that time it was like 10-20 times lower than it is today. And people were using this channel to really, do all kinds of frauds, to spam people, to do some kind of illegal promotions. And at that point of time, regulator came into force that, we need to sort this out. And there have been, I would say, 3 or 4 different iterations of regulation. And this regulation is going stronger and stronger. And now the final one, which I think was put in production like 2 weeks back, is that basically every single message, so you can imagine every single message in India, which is a huge country with a huge amount of messages, I'm talking about tens of billions messages a month, every single message is being scrubbed through different databases, through different filters, and then if everything is okay, being delivered towards the end customer. And of course, all this information is being exchanged between different servers, different operators. Each operator has their own server, which can do that, not server, actually platform. And those platforms are communicating between themselves through a blockchain protocol. So all this, to me, it looks extremely, complex, extremely difficult to implement in any given country. But I must congratulate to India and their regulator that they managed to do that. It's not ideal still. There has been some complaints on, some of the messages didn't go through, some legitimate messages. But I would say that in the next couple of months, they will probably sort out all these teething issues and they will have this under control. But I think maybe India is the extreme example of that. If we are going back to UK, you started, as you said, like 3 years ago with this sender. Let's call it. No, it's not regulation. It's more like code of conduct that everybody will use the same sender database, and that the enterprise will not use sender ID from someone else. In many countries, outside UK, I would say this is relatively normal, and it's actually imposed by the regulator. And in some of the cases, this is even charged. So you need to pay for this sender ID. So I mean, in one sentence, you can basically monetize it and protect your customers in the same with the same technology. So I would say that Europe is relatively liberal on that side, but all the countries outside Europe have imposed relatively strict regulation on that side. Maybe, as I said, India is an extreme example, but all the other countries also having that in place. For example, if you're going to MENA, if you're going to, for example, Saudi Arabia or UAE, you need to register every single sender, and you need actually to bring the stamp of the company of the enterprise who is actually willing to register the sender. So it's it's not just something digital. You need to actually bring the paper for that.
Yeah. Okay. No, thank you, Matija.
Yeah.
No, fantastic points. Charles, I'd like to bring you back into the conversation here. So following up on Matija's question I posed him regarding the regulation side of things. So if a regulator comes out too hard and locks things down too much, there is a risk to the messaging channel. But when it comes to the whole trust side of things, with SMS, it's very simple. People will not use SMS if the charging model doesn't fit. How do you at GMS work with mobile operators? Because I'm aware that you work with mobile operators, help secure them, monetize the traffic and everything like that. How do you help get the message across that actually charging too much will hurt the business SMS channel, push things off to other perhaps less trusted channels, and ultimately hurt the average person on the street, wherever they may be?
Thanks, James. This is a conversation that we have on a daily basis with operators. Unfortunately, the international A2P SMS messages are already too expensive. It's already damaging the industry, and we have to work with operators to first of all, if they can optimize their revenue. So this is where bringing in proper infrastructure, proper firewalls, having the help of companies like GMS that will ensure that all of the messages go over the legitimate channel and they're not being bypassed, and that all the messages are being delivered. This will help optimize their revenue and will allow for them to actually have lower message prices because they're collecting them all. We also are positioned well with enterprises to make sure that they have the right quality because that's important. Enterprises used to be driven only by cost, but are now coming to us and saying they want to work with us because they're tired of the fraud, they're tired of the lack of quality. And if they can ensure that all of their messages are delivered, and if we can work with the operators to ensure they all are delivered and that they come in at a reasonable cost. Then both parties work together to keep costs at a reasonable level, and we make sure that all the messages are going through the legitimate channels. And if we do all of that, then the regulators don't need to come in with a heavy hand because the industry is self-regulating and building that trust by themselves. Exactly,
and that's exactly what the Business SMS Code of Conduct is about. Thanks for signing up to it. Vladimir, I'd like to move back to you, thank you. And I'm going to be wrapping up the session in the next 7 minutes or so. But if you are out there, again, trust, we're talking about business messaging companies. You're a business messaging company. You've got so many enterprises out there. And I covered this in a bit in session yesterday, actually, as well. But how do they go about working out who is a potential trusted party to carry their traffic, who isn't? What should enterprises look for in a best business messaging provider when it comes to trust?
Well, of course, when it comes to trust, the enterprises are always measuring the quality, and if there is no proper conversion rate, in the end, they will lose more than what they're trying to get out of a discounted rate on illegitimate or, let's say, gray channel. So, what we can see now is that enterprises are more and more cautious about it, and the bigger ones are really asking to provide the direct connectivity, the zero-hop connection to mobile operators in order to ensure that there is no fraud, no poor quality, high conversion rate, and that they can provide the best service to their customers.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And David, just going to start wrapping this up actually now. So I'm going to start with you. What grade would you give the business messaging industry in terms of helping to build trust? And what's the one thing you think we as a business messaging industry need to do better to deliver that trust to enterprises and subscribers? And I'm going to very quickly go around every single one of you. So if you just keep it to a few seconds, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
The major step is the education. So what have been built with the code of conduct should be broadcasted very widely and enforced and enforced and enforced. That would be my 2 cents.
Okay, well, actually, I've just been hearing from the production team. We've got a little mini reprieve. We have an extra 2 or 3 minutes. So, David, if you want to go back and add something, you didn't give the grade. What's our homework? What's our homework?
It's really to map and to measure. So we need data, and data are proof. When you bring the data of the conversions. And the traffic and the business and the success stories of the markets that are well regulated, the markets where the firewalls are in place, the markets where maybe didn't have to install all those things that have been installed in India, so they can keep the price low and they can keep some freedom in how you operate your message. If you can start with building data and bringing those data to the operators, bringing this data to the messaging partners, bringing this data to the regulators, that's the first step. Because otherwise, as you all mentioned, if it's not industry self-regulated, it's regulated by people that do not understand everything that is at stake, and they come with too brutal decisions. While again, SMS is a wonderful channel, but as anything that is wonderful, it's praised by fraudsters. So we should invest in protecting this channel from the fraudsters. That's normal. It's a huge industry. It's huge business. A part of investment should go to protection.
Thank you, David. Matija, very quickly, just a few seconds from you. What's our grade? How good are we or not? And what's the one thing you would do to really improve the situation?
I basically agree with David. We need to understand the business ourselves, and then we need to train and educate our clients to actually perform this business in a proper manner. I have just one small point here. This forum is about business messaging, and but we are talking only about SMS. I think the same things are happening in other messaging channels. Maybe that was not stated in this panel, but we should put some effort to, let's say, introduce the same things, the same code of conduct, the same, let's say, protection mechanisms for the other business channels also. That's my 2 cents.
Matija, a fantastic point, and I think that's something. If you look at something like RCS, yes, RCS, the concept of it's been around for a number of years, but it's really in its infancy as being productized and really coming out there. And why not? We should get things sorted from day one with RCS. Charles, a closing remark from you quickly, please.
Sure. James, you mentioned at the start that trust works both ways. So it's really important as an objective to protect all of the parties, the enterprises, the operators, and the consumers. And so that means verifying the senders, stopping the spam and the smishing, delivering all of the messages that are received, and ensuring the messages go over the legitimate channels. And if we do that, then I think there will be trust between all parties.
Thank you very much. And Vladimir, appreciate you joining at short notice. I will leave the closing panel remark to you, sir.
Thank you, James. It's an honor. Well, I would say that we should involve more and more people into MEF itself, and to describe for them all the benefits of signing the code of conduct. And as more and more people are involved and follow the guidelines of code of conduct, I think, as everybody agreed, the ecosystem will help us naturally to make the business more clean and more trusted.
Thank you, Vladimir. What a fantastic closing remark that was. I'd like to thank all my panelists. Matija Razem from Infobip, many thanks. Charles Upchurch from World Messaging Services. Vladimir, yourself, thank you for stepping in at short notice. Mike, indeed, from MEF. David Lotfi, the founder and CEO of Evina. And Pat Flynn from Nettzer. Thank you for doing a terrific job, knocking this one out of the ballpark. There's plenty to do. It's clear to see in the industry. And everyone viewing, thank you for viewing and enjoy the rest of the day here at MEF Connect Business Messaging. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.